course she uses belladonna in her eyes. They're much too brilliant to be natural.
With a doctor for a husband, one can learn anything about drugs.
She wouldn't stop at anything which helps to fascinate men. It's my game.
J. Thorne had no business marrying the second time. We got along so nicely with dear departed Anne. She never aroused antagonism.
Anne was so sweet.
Anne was so sensible. She knew a doctor had to make professional visits to other women, but this Mrs. Thorne won't let him out of her sight.
Not only that, Cynthia, if she only stopped at holding on to her own husband, but she annexes every other husband she can get.
You could just see them lick sugar from her hand.
Now you've said it, Nell. That's just the attitude Philip took the other evening when he shook hands with her at Mrs. Hale's dinner. Didn't I lecture him afterward, though? You have no business, I said, showing deference like that to any other woman but me, I said. I'm your wife, I said. I come first, I said.
Oh, I laid down the law to Russell, too. He wouldn't talk to me for 3 days. Said I was jealous. Said he was paying me back for monopolizing the doctor away from poor dear Anne when she was alive. Said he was jolly well glad I knew how he used to feel when the doctor monopolized me.
Oh, did Dr. Thorne come to see you often, Jessica? I don't see how he could have time. We kept him so busy at our house with all the children needing him constantly.
And Dr. Thorne called on me every day after my serious operation. I used to say to him, I said, "You saved my life." And he thanked me for living.
Oh, now don't start about your operation.
But none of you have had such an operation. Why, I have gone down into the medical books as a unique case.
Poor dear Anne never flaunted gold bags and Russian sables. This Mrs. Thorne is living evidence of the outrageous fees we have to pay.
I make it no trump.
Every time she has a new gown, I know we paid for it.
I pass.
And Edwin says she's deuced right to make the best of her looks. But if I buy a new gown, I have to pay for it out of my own checkbook.
I make no trump.
Did you say no trump? And I play first. Well, there.
Now for dummy, she's most inconsiderate not to come on time.
Why did you invite her at all?
If you don't invite her, you may need another operation and she can keep the doctor from performing it.
The cat.
If we ask her to little affairs like this, we can afford to leave her out of the social events that count. The doctor hates them anyway and never comes. Why should we take her in? Who is she anyway?
He just picked her up in Florida. She might be the worst kind of adventuress.
Oh, I've a juicy bit to tell. It makes me lick my lips.
Oh, do tell us.
Isn't it fun to discuss her? Everybody does it.
Mrs. Toomley thought it was very pretentious for Mrs. Thorne to have a box at the opera and decided she would cut her outright.
Oh, I heard the tale.
I didn't. Tell me.
Well,
on opening night, Mrs. Thorne.
You tell it.
No, you started it.
Well, on opening night, in comes Mrs. Thorne, much bedecked, enters her box next to Mrs. Toomley, and Mrs. Toomley, in full view of the house, turns away her head.
Oh, I should have died of mortification.
Not Mrs. Thorne.
No, Mrs. Thorne leans over to her husband and in a whisper loud enough for everybody to hear, she asks him sweetly, "Jay, dear, am I mistaken? But isn't that the Mrs. Toomley you operated for a floating kidney?"
She didn't say that.
She certainly did.
Ooh, wasn't Mrs. Toomley furious?
The worst of it is it didn't stop there. The story is going the rounds. A guest in Mrs. Toomley's box repeated the story to someone else and called the floating kidney a swimming gizzard.
Oh, and I now suppose Mrs. Toomley doesn't dare cut her again.
My dear, people are beginning to realize that Mrs. Thorne is far too dangerous to cut.
maid told me to come in.
Oh, Mrs. Thorne.
Sorry I'm late, Mrs. Russell. I was detained at luncheon with Mrs. Paul Stafford.
Luncheon with Mrs. Paul Stafford.
We played a few rounds while you're waiting. You know Mrs. Martingale, Mrs. Puff?
Yes, indeed.
How do you do?
Mhm. Uh, I remember Mrs. Martingale has a very charming husband.
You did pay a lot of attention to him.
An attractive man is always a living compliment to his wife, and the charm she must have had to win him.
Shall we play?
May I take off my coat?
So negligent of me.
It's warm. Your home is so rightly tempered, Mrs. Russell.
I'm glad you've shown us the coat. We've heard so much about it.
Oh, I have a cousin in Canada who can send me furs quite inexpensively. I wouldn't dream of causing my husband too much expense. That's what people are accusing me of. Would you mind putting them right about it?
They say you are rather clever at telling stories.
You mean you don't believe me? I thought you were a better judge of human nature than that.
Shall we play?
Will you take dummy's seat, Mrs. Thorne?
Oh, thank you. No, I'll wait until you finish your game.
Let us finish the hand quickly then.
The game's yours, Nell.
Now, Mrs. Thorne.
What a marvelous gold mesh. How many operations does it represent?
May I open it?
Oh, it was given to me by Mr. Crawford in gratitude for my husband's cure of him.
How nice of the men to pay you instead of your husbands.
Oh, I've spilled some pills out of your bag.
A violent purple.
I must have the catch mended on my bonbon box. Oh, will you have one, Mrs. Martingale? They sweeten venomous tongues.
No, thank you. They look more like poison.
I never saw pills that color.
Are they medicine for some serious malady of yours?
They are Cosia femorangus.
That doesn't mean anything to me.
Nor to me.
Well, the doctor's experimenting with them. He guards them very carefully. In fact, I'm not supposed to have any. I didn't dare take many at a time, just one at intervals so it couldn't be noticed.
I wager they're poison for enemies.
They are.
You have such a sense of humor, Mrs. Thorne.
If you doubt me, take one.
Even if I didn't believe you, I'm not willing to run the risk.
No, thank you. I'd rather be safe.
I wouldn't take it on trust.
Try one yourself.
Of course you think it's eccentric, dangerous, or criminal of me to be carrying Cosia femorangus in my purse.
Oh, I don't believe it. I'll take one.
I beg your pardon, Mrs. Puff. I'm not saving for you.
You scared me.
The law ought to look into that, Mrs. Thorne.
It ought to be reported to your husband.
That is just what we shall have to do.
Let's get on with the game. I don't want notoriety.
Right, very well. I bid 2 hearts.
2 spades.
1 diamond.
3 hearts.
I'm very fond of hearts.
It sounds reckless to me, but if you think you can.
Right, hearts again. How about it, Mrs. Martingale? Do you overbid me in hearts?
No, but you have to be a good player to make them.
Oh, we'll see.
Shall I play?
My hand 1 down.
Oh, you haven't given me much help, have you?
I as much as told you you were risking a lot on hearts.
Perhaps, but I'd rather lose in hearts than never do my utmost to win them.
Oh, yes. They say you win men's hearts quite easily.
There, that's enough. I just can't stand the slurs another moment. It's the end.
Mrs. Thorne.
Mrs. Thorne.
I came to this city a stranger, brought by a doctor you all like and respect. You should have honored his love for me, but instead you hated and hurt me. It has grieved me to see the fight I have had to make for even decent recognition.
Mrs. Thorne.
He wants to go away, give up his big practice here, start someplace else for my sake. And I love him so much. I would rather die than hinder him. The greatest gift I can give him is taking the short way out.
You swallowed them.
Mrs. Thorne.
Mrs. Thorne.
I've stood it as long as I could. I don't want to live anymore.
But you can't die in my house.
But I want to die in your house. It will pay you back for the way you robbed me of my character at the Chesters. They told me.
I swear I never.
In heaven's name, Jessica, don't argue. She'll pass out in the midst of it. You'd better call a doctor or the police.
No, keep it out of the papers. You haven't any right to die in my house.
You're a doctor's wife. Tell us what to do.
Oh, Mary, run for the nearest doctor.
Oh, here's a first aid. What does it say about poison, bandages, bruises, sprains? I'm hanging. Well, that's suicide. No, not that. Oh, poison. No, it's poison ivy.
Don't agitate yourselves. I contemplated this deed too long now to have regrets. There's no way of saving me now.
Whiskey counteracts it. Drink.
Force it down her.
We can't let her die.
What difference does it make to you if I die? You wouldn't let me live.
But Mrs. Thorne, no one knew you loved him like that.
You seem so interested in other men.
Oh, why doesn't help come?
You think men are attracted to me because I want them to be? I don't try to win them, but I've tried to win you women, and I couldn't do that. It's not poison that's killing me. It is your hatred.
No, Mrs. Thorne, I implore you to do something to save yourself.
Why doesn't Mary come with a doctor?
Look, there are no more pills left for evidence, and they can't be traced in an autopsy. It's something new my husband has been experimenting on. If you can help me back to the card table, you can call it heart failure.
Oh, it tears me to pieces to hear you talk that way.
It's dreadful of you to mind so much what we said. No one really meant anything by it. No one wants you to die.
I've been a dog the way I've treated you, but I was jealous and the way you fought and wouldn't let yourself be downed. None of us knew about your family or your past. We don't yet.
When Dr. Thorne met me in Florida, I was resting after a long season. I was an actress for 10 years. Oh, air. It's very close.
You must drink. If you'll take it and forgive us and live, we'll make up 1,000 times for the harm we have done.
Would you really? If I thought you cared, I'd take it. It might not be too late.
Take it.
If I'd known your life depended upon us, I'd have done a lot of nice things for you.
All our lives depend upon one another.
No, please drink this. If you only live, we'll be your closest friends forever.
You promised that.
Yes.
Yes.
Then I'll take some.
More than that.
All of it.
You'll have me intoxicated. No, I can't go that far. You see, the pills are not poison, they're only throat tablets.
Mrs. Thorne, you have presumed too far.
How dare you make fools of us?
An insult in my own house.
Oh, only severe dealing would bring you to terms. I had no idea of setting the scene when I entered the room. Your antagonism met me at the door, and Mrs. Martingale gave me the cue when she called the pills poison. I haven't been an actress without learning something of the value of suggestion, and I fed your minds point by point until you believed that these simple tablets under the fictitious name of Cossifemorangus could be fatal.
I've never been so furious in all my life.
Well, remember, it was your own malice that set your trap.
After this, Mrs. Thorne, will make life harder than ever. Perhaps next time you'll take real.
No, Mrs. Russell, I enjoy my life too much to bargain it for you. My husband is exceedingly amused when I relate my adventures and will relish this one particularly.
We will never call your husband again. It won't be so funny when he loses patience.
I call your method losing hearts.
No, Mrs. Martingale, I'm winning them. You have proved today that you have hearts, that you wouldn't want everyone to be as unhappy as you thought I was. You see, Mrs. Puff, you show me for the first time your true selves, and it has made me more than ever anxious to be your friend. Do forgive me, Mrs. Russell, for my trick against you, and let it cancel your tricks against me. Let's start over with an equal deal and play fair. All of us have better hearts than we show. Let's play them out.